Welcome dear learners to this video session of antihypertensive agents. Before understanding of antihypertensive agent, first we should know what is hypertension. So what is hypertension? So hypertension means increase in the blood pressure. So our normal blood pressure is 120/80. Now this 120 is systolic blood pressure and 80 means a diastolic blood pressure. The systolic blood pressure arises during myocardial contraction and diastolic blood pressure arises during myocardial relaxation. So this is the general, means we can say the normal blood pressure. It's a 120 systolic and 80 diastolic. So when it is known as hypertension, when the blood pressure will be above 140 mmHg, or we can say for systolic, and for diastolic if it will be above 90 mmHg, then the condition is known as hypertension, or we can say the elevated blood pressure. Now what is blood pressure? It's generally a multiplication, you can say, for cardiac output and total peripheral resistance. Now we will see the types of hypertension. So there are two types of hypertension: essential hypertension, or we can say stage 1 hypertension, and secondary hypertension or stage 2 hypertension. So what is the difference between essential hypertension and secondary hypertension? So this SPP means systolic blood pressure and DBP means diastolic blood pressure. So in essential hypertension, the systolic blood pressure will be in the range of 120 to 139 mmHg and diastolic blood pressure will be in the range of 80 to 89 mmHg. And for secondary hypertension, the blood pressure for systolic will be 140 to 160, means above 140, and the diastolic will be above 90, or we can say 90 to 99 mmHg. Now as per World Health Organization, what is hypertension, or we can say elevated blood pressure? When the blood pressure will be above 160 for systolic and above 95 for diastolic, then it is known as a hypertension. Now what are the risk factors for hypertension? So generally stress is the major factor for hypertension. Generally the causes are not known for hypertension, but we can say some risk factor. So the stress is the major risk factor for hypertension. Then the obesity is the second factor for the hypertension. Then cigarette smoking. Now why cigarette smoking is the risk factor for hypertension? So it contains nicotine, and nicotine produces vasoconstriction, and because of vasoconstriction there will be increase in our blood pressure. So it will be a risk factor for hypertension. Now the alcohol consumption. Now how alcohol consumption will be the risk factor? So alcohol contains the more calorie. So more calorie means more blood volume, and more blood volume means more blood pressure. Then sodium, obviously the higher intake of NaCl, or we can say salt, or we can say sodium, it will increase the blood volume and it will increase the blood pressure. Then the genetic factor, we can say the family history, obviously it's a risk factor for hypertension. And diabetes, if any person have a diabetes, there will be a risk of hypertension because of more glucose, so it will increase more blood volume, it will increase the blood pressure. Now we will see the control of blood pressure, means how we can control the blood pressure, or which organs are involved to control in a blood pressure. So we can say that the heart, blood vessels, lungs, liver as well as kidney are generally the major organs which control the blood pressure. Now what happens? When there is a fall in blood pressure, what happens? Generally we should know that there are two processes to control the blood pressure. First is the baroreceptor in a sympathetic nervous system, and second one is the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Now, before starting this, we should know that what are the process involved to increase the blood pressure. When we will get increased, or we can say elevated blood pressure. So there are three processes. By this process, we can get elevated blood pressure. When there is an increase in a cardiac output, we will get increase in a blood pressure. When there is an increase in a peripheral resistance, there will be increase in a blood pressure. Obviously, as I said previously, what is blood pressure? It's a cardiac output as well as increase in a peripheral resistance. So it will obviously increase the blood pressure, and when we will get the increase in a blood volume, there will be increase in a blood pressure. Now we will see what happens when there is a fall in blood pressure. So the baroreceptor in a sympathetic nervous system will produce a fewer response to the cardiovascular center in a spinal cord. It will produce a fewer response to the cardiovascular center in a spinal cord. Because of that, it will produce the effect on heart. Which effect? It will increase the sympathetic response and decrease the parasympathetic response to the heart. So, it will inactivate the beta-1 receptor. Because of inactivation of beta-1, it will produce increase in the cardiac output. So, ultimately it will increase the blood pressure. Now, in blood vessel, what happened? Because it produces the increase in a sympathetic and decrease in a parasympathetic response, it will produce the activation of alpha-1 receptor in a blood vessel. So because of this, what happened? It will increase the peripheral resistance, and obviously when there is an increase in a peripheral resistance, we will get the elevated blood pressure. So now when we are talking about antihypertensive agent, we should focus this kind of sites. We should block these sites which will increase the peripheral resistance, which will increase the cardiac output, and which will increase the blood volume. So ultimately we can decrease the blood pressure. Now the third process we will understand by the kidney. So kidney control the blood volume. So how it will control the blood volume? We will see in detail. So what happens when there is a fall in blood pressure? See, there are baroreceptors present in kidney also. So when there is a fall in a blood pressure, what happens? This kidney release the baroreceptor, means the baroreceptor release the renin. Now, this renin is also released in the condition when there is a low sodium intake, or we can say when there is a higher sodium loss. So at that time the kidney release the renin. Now this renin produce, it will release the angiotensinogen. This angiotensinogen will synthesized in the liver and it will release in the plasma. So this angiotensinogen convert into angiotensin 1. Now this angiotensin 1 will convert into angiotensin 2 by the enzyme, that is angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE, and this enzyme is present into the lung. Now this angiotensin 2 will produce vasoconstriction, and because of this vasoconstriction, it will release one enzyme, that is aldosterone. Because of this, we will get the increased sodium and water retention. So ultimately it will increase the blood volume and we will get the increase in the blood pressure. So this is the process how kidney control the blood pressure. Means what? If we have to control the blood pressure, so we should give the drugs which will act over here, which can inhibit the ACE, It's known as AC inhibitor. So ultimately, we will not get the increased blood volume. So we will not get the increased blood pressure. We can act over here also. We can inhibit the aldosterone secretion. So these are the sites from where we can give the drugs. Now we will see the classification of antihypertensive agents. So these are the classification of antihypertensive agents. Generally, there are 5 types of antihypertensive agents. Diuretic, as it will control the blood volume. Then drugs acting on a sympathetic system. As we have already seen, we can give this kind of drugs. Then drugs acting on a RAS system, means renin, angiotensin, we can say aldosterone system. Then vasodilators and calcium channel blockers. Now we will see the site where we can give the drug and where it is located. So this is the brainstem, the sympathetic ganglia, postganglionic sympathetic nerve. So where we can give the drug, this is the location. Here you can see that it's a vascular smooth muscle. These are the example of the antihypertensive agents like hydralazine, minoxidil, calcium channel blockers or thiazide we can give over here. Then adrenergic terminals. Its example including here it's a resorpine. Then vascular alpha 1 receptor. You can give this kind of drug over here. Then here there is a presence of beta 1 receptor. So to block beta 1 receptor we can give the beta blocker like a propranolol, metoprolol or other beta blockers. Then we can see the renal tubules. So here we can give the diuretics. To control the blood volume we can give the diuretics. Now the other components of a renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. So here we can see it's a beta 1 receptor on a juxtaglomerular cells. So it's a beta blocker. Then renin, we can inhibit this. Then angiotensin converting enzyme. As I said, if we inhibit the angiotensin converting enzyme, there is an inhibition of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. So there will be no vasoconstriction and there will be decrease in a blood pressure. So these are the AC inhibitor. It's angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor we can give. Then we can give the angiotensin 2 receptors like a losartan. This kind of drugs we can give, and aldosterone receptors. This is how we can classify the antihypertensive agent as per the site of inhibition. Now from the next lecture, we will see the pharmacology of each and every antihypertensive class in detail. Thank you dear learners. If you like the video, you can subscribe my channel to get the more and more videos.